Take a look at Danny Ruiz. For 4 years, he worked as a nursing assistant at the Ashford Behavioral Center. He was a devoted father with a daughter he picked up from daycare every single day without fail. He was a man whose life ran on strict, unbreakable clockwork. Then comes a Tuesday in November, and that clockwork completely shatters. Danny misses daycare pickup. His sister panics. The police are called, and they force their way into his apartment. The police find his front door unlocked. His car sits untouched in the parking lot. His cell phone is still charging on the kitchen counter. There are no signs of a struggle, and nothing is missing. Danny didn't pack a bag. He didn't get kidnapped. He vanished, leaving a perfect, intact mold of his life behind, creating a total physical and administrative vacuum. To figure out where he went, you have to look at the exact geographic center of that vacuum. It sits at the end of the East Wing inside Ashford Behavioral Center, down a corridor that always seems to swallow the fluorescent lighting. And Danny wasn't even scheduled to be there. A colleague of his, Dr. Naomi Cross, had a family emergency. She asked Danny to cover her overnight Tuesday shift, and he agreed to the swap. That tiny schedule change is the only anomaly in Danny's entire week. A completely ordinary workplace favor served as the hidden trigger event for a trap waiting in the dark. During that Tuesday overnight shift, police brought in an intake patient at 2 in the morning, a woman found wandering the interstate in a hospital gown. She sat perfectly still on the exam table, entirely calm, answering questions in a flat, polite voice, and claimed she had got out of the room that isn't a room. The hospital ran a partial fingerprint scan. The database returned a massive glitch. The prints belonged to a woman named Eleanor Voss, who had been declared legally dead after a car crash on that exact same stretch of highway 14 years earlier. The true identity of the woman from 2009 is Eleanor Ruiz, Danny's older sister, who used to work at Ashford years ago. The modern intake photo is a perfect, identical facial match. Eleanor's arrival registers as a severe data error, a literal impossibility sitting on an exam table that demands a systemic explanation to correct it. Look at this diagram of room 14. If we strip away the ghost stories and treat the space like a closed thermodynamic system, its behavior makes sense. It operates as a strict zero-sum equilibrium, a waiting room holding a specific mass. The governing rule of this system is absolute: one out, one in. Matter cannot exit the room unless an equal replacement takes its place. Eleanor managed to slip out. By leaving, she created a critical mass deficit that the room mathematically had to correct. The entity inside room 14 doesn't hunt randomly. It mechanically enforces a ledger. Eleanor's escape created a cosmic debt, and the system needed a replacement to balance the scales. If this entity were all-powerful, it could simply pull anyone from the street. But it didn't snatch Danny from his home or his car. It waited until he physically crossed the threshold of the East Wing and walked into that room on his own. It appears the room cannot take by force. It requires the target to enter willingly before the door can close. This explains why Danny was the one who vanished. On the hospital's official logs, Dr. Cross was the person assigned to that wing. When Danny signed the shift swap, he legally and administratively took her place in the building's hierarchy. To a room that functions like a ledger, Danny became the person responsible for the debt. Later that night, Dr. Cross found Danny trapped on the padded floor of room 14. As he spoke to her, his body moved on a half-second delay, hijacked and operated by the room itself, as it absorbed him to pay his sister's debt. Danny wasn't a victim of random violence. He was a variable in a transaction. His own everyday kindness made him the perfect administrative substitute for a debt he didn't know existed. Discovering this mechanism is exactly what sealed Dr. Cross's fate. When she saw the heavy door to room 14 creep open, she should have called security. Instead, she broke protocol and walked toward it alone. The room manipulates geometry and empathy. It used Danny's hollowed-out form to lure her inside, compressing the space between them until the door swung shut behind her with a soft click. Dr. Cross's overnight log shows she clocked in and never clocked out. Her car was found abandoned in the staff lot the next morning, keys still in the ignition, leaving behind the exact same physical vacuum as Danny. Attempting to rescue the system's victim, or even just trying to understand it, inevitably turns the observer into the room's newest structural component. Ashford Behavioral Center remains completely operational today. Room 14 is officially listed as empty. The entity is patient. It lets months or even years slip by until the precise administrative conditions align once more. It just needs a spot on the overnight roster, a quick schedule swap between two employees, a small, ordinary favor, which is exactly how it gets in.